Wait, is Romney thinking about running for president again? No! 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 Man, I am sure I heard a saying that says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And if that's the case, then let me send out the invitations right now, because it's a Republican Party in the rubber room.
I think what's happening. Propaganda.
Okay, look, this isn't really about Romney. And although he wasn't my first pick, I preferred him to Obama. And I'd prefer him to Hillary Clinton. But that ain't saying much. It's not about who Romney would be running against. It's about the voters. You got to get through to them. Look, if Obamacare was modeled after Romney Care, and people voted for Obama because they saw him as so compassionate and super awesome because he was going to give us Obamacare, let's vote for him, even though we really don't know what Obamacare is, but Obama is black, and he's going to teach the white man a lesson and take his money and give us free stuff with it. Yeah, Obama rocks. How can they see Obama as the good guy and see Romney as the bad guy when Romney is the one who created the healthcare model that Obama used to look like the good guy? You see my point, Republicans? You're not going up against a candidate. You're going up against the culture. Too many of y'all have not figured that out yet. What? You think Romney is going to make a grand I told you so speech with the issue on Ukraine? We've seen Obama slammed in the debates. His followers weren't impressed. They just got more defensive of Obama. Conservatives didn't hold up their end in the culture. Like soon after Reagan was gone, the country started going left because right-wingers are as dependent on politicians as liberals are to make change. The difference is that liberals know how to use illustrations to impress the policies they want. They laid groundwork to get people to give politicians the power to impose their statist worldview. Now, they're doing the same thing with Hillary that they did with Obama. They want to be with the in crowd of saying, I voted for the first female president. But it can't just be any female president. It has to be a female president that lines up with their backward ideals of what women should stand for. Much of the culture has been left-wing wired for that. These politicos, for all their intellect, are very culturally naive and are not grasping the shallowness of the default left-wing voter. Y'all want to entertain a third run for Romney when you haven't done the cultural groundwork to prepare for a Hillary Clinton run. You think he's going to amaze people with how he dominates her in the debates? You didn't consider that he's going to be used as the poster boy for the war on women. He'll just be seen as some rich white Republican trying to keep another woman from breaking the glass ceiling. Republicans have not laid the case and illustrated and promoted how the policies they stand for are friendliest to the dynamic of equality, especially where women are concerned. I don't care if you're running Alan West, Sarah Palin, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Ben Carson, or any of these darlings of the right. I like them too, and would be happy with any of them. But it's we the people who have to consent to be governed. And we have a twisted culture that consents to statism and will vote power to statism because they think the people who stand for statism are cool. But they're not going to consent to be governed by the likes of the Republicans I've mentioned. And if you really believe that it's we the people, then you've got to understand what people will and will not consent to. And you'll start with the people and do the work to promote our ideals to the people so that they may consent to be governed by people who are in office to make sure the people's God-given rights are protected. But you're doing it backwards. You're forgetting it's we the people. Y'all are always thinking it takes having the right person in office that makes change. We need this person for president. We need this person for Congress. We need this person for governor. No, we need you to promote conservatism and represent it in the culture instead of being dependent on a political figure to represent it in office. Remember, it's kind of pointless to have a government with conservatives if the people aren't going to consent to be governed by them. We conservatives are always saying gun control won't work because criminals don't care about your laws, right? Well, when you have a culture that rejects the law of the land that the Republican Party was founded to uphold, what makes you think that culture is going to abide by the laws you stand for? I'm trying to tell you, Republicans, politicians are not the answer. Our republic is under the rule of good law. But ever since its founding, there's always been people who rejected being ruled by good law, and they will force their will upon others in defiance of good law. Their selfishness and their defiance of good law was so powerful that it took a war that claimed hundreds of thousands of lives to put an end to it for that time. What good are your politicians and their policies and laws if the people don't consent to be governed by them? I keep telling folk who jumped off the Republican ship, you can't even save your own party. How do you expect to save the country? I'm hearing people say we need to form a third party because there's just not enough conservatives. Okay, now are you listening to yourselves? If there's not enough conservatives, then what's the point of forming a party of conservatives with a lack of conservatives? Stop acting out of frustration and start using that common sense we're always bragging about. One thing I'd recommend is putting our foot down on what conservatism is. And there's a lot of people out there who think of themselves as conservatives. They're pro-abortion, pro-redefinition of marriage, pro-legalization of anything you want to do with your body, pro-isolationism, etc. But consider themselves conservatives. And I'm like, you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. And if you try to tell some of these people that they're not really conservatives, you can get cussed out. Trust me, I know. Or they'll tell you we need a big tent and all that stuff. And before you know it, we've got a big tent with room for everything except conservatism. You can be pro-capitalism, pro-life, pro-religious freedom, pro-limited government, pro-border security and all that stuff and have all these ducks in a row. But if you're iffy on gun control, then we got to throw the baby out with the bathwater because that baby don't walk on water. That person's not a conservative. Now, I agree. Being lax on the Second Amendment is a biggie. But my point is, there's too many people who would defend that people being pro-abortion, pro-redefinition of marriage, pro-legalize whatever you want to do with your body while not considering the cost it will impose on others, etc., can be conservatives too just because they hate taxes. But a person who's got most of the ducks in a row but falls short on an issue or two gets the boot. Then we definitely have something very, very wrong going on. Now, Romney wants to run off of how good he looks compared to the mess that Obama was. Hey, maybe third time's a charm. I'm Alfonso Rachel with Zonation, and I know people feel like no matter what we do, they're just gonna call us racist and sexist and whatever. But too many of y'all are lacking a lot of stamina or don't know how to pace yourselves. Like you thought this was gonna be easy. You're up against a narrative the Democrats have been promoting for upwards of 50 years. And the constitutionally corrupt policies the Democrats have been imposing on this country is 150 years strong. How much damage do you think you've done to that monster with your vigorous retweets? Now, don't get me wrong. We need all y'all doing what you can with what you have and making use of social media. Please keep doing that. What we don't need is defeatist attitudes, because the folks who were there when the Republican Party was founded were ready to go to war against the Democrats. The Democrats were mean and vicious then. They're mean and vicious now. Hopefully, it won't take a war again. Hopefully, we can make use of ways to promote our ideals and free people from the shackles of institutionalized selfishness.